Hey, what's up coders? Welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be covering a very interesting topic, which would be Flutter interview questions. Now, the reason that I chose this topic was since Google released Flutter 1.0 at the Flutter Live event in the late 2018,
we have seen a drastic growth in this framework.
And at the same time, the community contributions, the open source project, and there are a lot of live apps in the market like Reflectly, Alibaba, Hamilton. Now, after seeing the success story of all these apps and the beauty of the framework, it looks like loads of companies are willing to build app using Flutter. So this is a clear indication that we would have more positions, more jobs related to Flutter. So talking about all this, it boils down to one single aspect, I would say. That is, how would the interview be? What are the types of interview questions? Should we have an app in the App Store, or should we be experienced in Dart, or should we have an experience building plugins, or how does it go? So today we will cover all those aspects. And also I would be talking about the GitHub project that I'm going to create, which is going to be open source contribution. I'm going to add all the list of interview questions and keep it open so that you could contribute to the repo. So I'll talk about the contribution part in the later series of this video. As of now, first let's analyze what are the kinds of jobs available in market and what are the requirements. All right, so I've just picked up a couple of job descriptions related to Flutter, and I'm just going to tell you what are the kind of requirements that they're looking for in a Flutter developer. There are positions where they want a developer, they want an Android developer in combination with Flutter, and there are some job requirements like the one here where they're looking exclusively for Flutter developer. So if I look for this, you can see that the requirement is purely Flutter. That is, they're checking for the Flutter framework, the state management concepts like Redux, block, provider, and the testing skills. But still, they are looking for someone who has some experience in Android. If you look at the description, either it's Android or iOS or React, or you have some kind of experience building app, and then they need some experience related to Flutter. So this is one kind of a job. Now, this is another job where I have seen it is related to a senior Android or Flutter engineer. So if you look at the description here, it's more of Android. And at the same time, they say you should be excited to learn and use Flutter framework. That means they want to extend this app and continue working on Flutter. So they're looking for someone who has this combination of both Android and Flutter. That's one kind of requirement. So since this technology is very new into the market where people are trying to explore it, they want someone who has experience building app and at the same time who's enthusiastic in learning about Flutter framework. If you look at the other job description, like the senior Flutter developer, all they ask is a front-end developer with 12 to 18 months of experience in Flutter. At the same time, they look for even an Android developer who has published app with at least 4. So when you look at these kind of job, it's still not that descriptive. But definitely they're looking for someone who has some experience in Flutter and have built some apps. Now, there are a couple of other job descriptions also. Say, for example, the one here, which says Flutter remote job. Now, the requirement seems to be very simple. All they're asking is we should be building a mobile application from scratch using Flutter and Firebase. So if you look at this job, they say it's a startup project. So it also depends if it's a startup company or if it's a remote job, or it's already an established company where they have a million download Android app and now they want to convert it into a Flutter app. So there are a lot of criterias and you got to be flexible. So when you say Flutter developer, doesn't mean that you're going to completely work on Flutter. It could be a combination of Android and Flutter or iOS and Flutter, or that's the kind of flexibility that they're looking when they're trying to hire someone. These are a couple of Flutter jobs available in the market, and definitely you can have a look at the description, which is flutterjobs.info, and the other one is Glassdoor. Now we will see the kind of interview questions they ask, so that way I can also show you the GitHub link and how you can contribute. Before I start discussing about the Flutter questions, I'm going to categorize into 3 types. First thing is, you might come across a scenario where you've already built a Flutter app and you have questions related to the app that you've built. The second type could be you are interviewed for an Android developer position, but at the same time, they would like to see if you are enthusiastic working on Flutter, and they would like to test your technical knowledge on Flutter. So they would ask you some basic questions about the framework or a couple of widget questions. And the third category would be that they have an Android app that is currently running successfully on store, but they want to migrate it to Flutter, and they would see how well versed are you in the technically to get this migrated to the Flutter. So this could be the 3 categories that you might fall in at the moment, because the technology seems to be very new. So depending on that, you would have questions. But here I have listed a very basic questions, and definitely this is not the only list. This list is going to keep growing because I'm going to contribute and you're also going to contribute to this list. So this is something that I found basic and everybody should know about it, because every day when I'm working with Flutter, I come across these things, and I thought these fall under a kind of interview questions. So I'm just going to go through randomly few questions, like say, what's a difference between stateless and stateful? Because everything is about state in Flutter. So that's something very minimal and you should be aware of it. And also, like, what is the stateful widget lifecycle? There is the lifecycle behind stateful. So what is it? So if someone asks you, you should be aware of it, because coming from an Android background, you definitely have a life cycle. So what about Flutter? Do we have a life cycle? In case yes, so how is it? And what is a spacer widget or Flutter tree shacking? We never come across these terms, but definitely if you refer the Flutter doc, you have all these concepts. Or someone would come asking, what is a streams? How do you deal with it? Or how do I update a list view dynamically? Or what is an aspect ratio? We use this most of the time in the grid, but we never think about answering it. Or if someone asks you this question as to what an aspect ratio is, we should be able to give an example and we should be able to give a definition to it rather than just working on app. So that's how they're going to test your technical knowledge. Now, these are the set of questions that I've added. Now, coming to the contribution part, since this is open, all you have to do is I have created a doc giving all the requirements as to how you could contribute. It's very simple. All you have to do is make sure that there are a few things that you have to follow. First thing, make sure that you don't add a duplicate question, because I've already added a question related to stateful or stateless. I don't want you to keep adding the same question again. So we'll keep this as a guideline so that if you attend any interviews related to Flutter and you come across some interesting questions that is not listed in this link, definitely feel free to add it over here. Make a pull request and add it here. And similarly, someone is planning to attend an interview, definitely they can go through this guide and find out the answers. Now, I've not created an answers to this list at the moment, but if you want me to do, I can definitely do it. Okay, the reason that I did not add the answers here is that answers can be customized depending on your experience developing apps or learning Flutter. So when someone asks me what's a stateless or stateful, I would have a different way of explaining this. For one single question, you can have multiple answers. I'm here to just give you questions, but if you want me to give answers also, I can create a separate doc and make it again open contribution so that you can keep adding more answer to it. But as of now, I'm just keeping it only for questions. All right, so now I'm going to show you how you could contribute. All you have to do is check if you have any duplicate questions. If there's already a question, please do not add it. Second thing, make a pull request. Pull request is, I think there are a lot of videos, but if you want me to show you how to do it, I'll add a link in the description where there are a couple of videos on related to it. All you have to do is fork this repo, clone it to your local, make the changes and send it back. It's simple as that. And all you have to do is just follow this one particular format, so that add this and then your interview question. That's it. Also make sure that if you find any mistakes, error, general feedback is welcome. Create an issue, or if you want to modify the existing question, that is also possible. So it's completely open source. So I thought I'll start, and I did not find any resources related to interview questions. So that's what I thought, I'll start one. And definitely it will be helpful for someone who is going through Flutter interviews. Understand what are the basic questions, so that you are quite comfortable and confident when you're answering, and even the other person understands that, okay, this person really has worked on Flutter and has a good knowledge on the language. So yeah, this is about the contribution. So I'm going to leave the link of the jobs, the GitHub link. Please feel free to fork it and raise issues, create pull request. If you find more questions that are missing here, please do add it. That's it for this video. And if you find this interesting, informative, please do give it a like, share, and do subscribe. And I will come up with more videos related to the interview questions or jobs, or my experience attending interviews. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.